Mr. Harold was an old white man. He lived alone in a quiet neighborhood. One afternoon, his TV stopped working. The screen turned black, and no sound came out. He hit the remote again and again, but nothing changed. He got angry. "This old junk never works," he shouted. He decided to take the TV to a repair shop. He picked it up, placed it in his car, and drove across town. He didn't like going to that part of the city. He thought it was too noisy, too crowded, and full of strange people. But he had heard the shop was cheap and fast. That's all he cared about. When he reached the small shop, the sign outside said, "Leon's Repairs, phones, TVs, radios, fixed fast." Mr. Harold walked inside. It was quiet. He looked around. "Hello," he called out. Just then, a girl stepped out from the back room. She wore a gray hoodie and had a tool belt around her waist. Her hands were a little greasy from working with wires. She looked about 16 years old. She was black, thin, and had short curly hair. Mr. Harold raised his eyebrows. "You work here?" he asked. The girl nodded. "Yes, sir. I do repairs. My name is Amara." Mr. Harold laughed a little. "A little girl like you fixes TVs?" Amara stayed calm. She was used to this. People always looked down on her, but she didn't answer rudely. She just said, "I can take a look. What's the issue?" He shook his head and placed the TV on the counter. It stopped working. Sound, no picture. "I don't know what you can do, but try." Amara picked up a small screwdriver and started opening the back panel. Her fingers moved fast. She checked the wires, looked at the circuit board, and tested a few parts. Mr. Harold sat down and watched. He thought, "She's just pretending. No way she can fix this." After a few minutes, Amara said softly, "I think the power board is loose. I'll adjust it and test again." She connected a small device to the board, made a few changes, and plugged the TV in. The screen turned on. Bright, clear, loud. Mr. Harold's mouth dropped open. How did you do that?" Amara smiled politely. "It was a small issue. It's working now." Mr. Harold looked shocked. He didn't know what to say. He looked around, expecting someone else to come out. Maybe a man? Maybe the real repairman? But no one came. "You did this?" he asked again. Amara nodded. He looked her up and down. Something in his eyes changed, but he didn't say thank you. He just took the TV and asked, "How much?" Amara told him the price. It was cheap. He gave the money, not looking at her. Then he walked out slowly, glancing back at her once before leaving. That night, Amara sat with her mother at the dinner table. Her mother asked, "How was your day?" Amara shrugged. "Same. Some people still don't believe I can fix things." Her mother smiled softly. "That's okay. One day they'll know what you're made of." Amara didn't care much for rude customers. She had learned to ignore them. She loved electronics. Since she was little, she would open up broken radios and fix old phones. Her dream was to become an engineer one day. She didn't know that the man she helped today would return the very next morning. The next day, the bell above the shop door rang. Amara looked up from her table. Her smile faded. It was Mr. Harold, but he wasn't alone. 2 police officers stood beside him. People in the shop turned to look. Amara stood up slowly. Her hands shook. "Is something wrong?" she asked. The officer said, "Are you Amara?" She nodded. "We need to ask you some questions. Mr. Harold reported something stolen from his TV. He says it was fine before he gave it to your shop." Amara looked confused. "I didn't steal anything." Mr. Leon, the shop owner, came forward. "There must be a mistake," the officer said. "We need to check the area." "And her bag?" Amara's heart pounded. Her mother had always told her to stay calm with police. Don't shout, don't run, don't cry. But she couldn't stop the fear rising in her chest. Said again, "I only fixed his TV. I don't know what he's talking about." Mr. Harold didn't say anything. He just stood there, staring at her. Then, he stepped forward. "What's your mother's name?" he asked suddenly. Amara blinked. "Why? Just tell me," he said. His voice was shaking now. Amara said her mother's name slowly. The color drained from Mr. Harold's face. He looked like he had seen a ghost. He turned to the police and said quietly, "Let's go." But one of them started. "I said, go," Mr. Harold repeated. The officers looked confused, but followed him out. The whole shop was silent. Amara's hands were still shaking. Her heart was racing. Why had he asked about her mother? Why did he look so shocked? And what did he mean by "let's go" after hearing her name? Her boss put a hand on her shoulder. "It's okay, Amara. You did nothing wrong." But inside, she felt something big had just started. Amara stood in the shop, frozen. Her heart was beating fast. She kept thinking about Mr. Harold's face. The moment she said her mother's name, something changed in his eyes. Why did he ask about my mom? Why did he look so scared? Mr. Leon, the shop owner, brought her a glass of water. "You okay?" he asked softly. Amara nodded, but her hands were shaking. The other customers in the shop whispered and stared. Some said, "She must have done something." Others said, "No, she's a good girl. I've seen her fix my phone." But no one knew the truth. That evening, Amara sat with her mother at home. She told her everything. When she reached the part about Mr. Harold asking for her mom's name, her mother's spoon dropped into her bowl. "Harold?" her mom asked. Amara nodded. "Yes. He came with 2 police officers. He said I stole something from his TV. But after I told him your name, he just left. Her mother looked pale. Her lips trembled. Mom, who is he? Her mom looked away. You don't need to know, I do, Amara said firmly. He almost got me arrested. I deserve to know. Her mother wiped her hands and sat down slowly. She stared at the floor. Years ago, when you were a baby, I worked in a big house, a white family. They had money, power, everything. Amara's eyes grew wide. His house. Her mom nodded. Yes, Harold's family. I was a maid. I cleaned, I cooked, I never complained. But one day, something expensive went missing. A watch, they said. I stole it. You didn't, right? Amara asked quickly. Her mother's eyes filled with tears. Of course not. But no one believed me. They fired me. I lost everything. I had no proof. I had to start over. That's when I found Mr. Leon and begged him to teach me repairs. Amara was speechless. All these years, she whispered, and now he sees me, and thinks I'm like you. No, her mother said. He's scared. He saw your face, and it reminded him of the truth. He knows I didn't steal that watch. He just never said it. The next day, Amara went back to the shop. She felt nervous but strong. She told Mr. Leon, if Mr. Harold comes back, I want to talk to him. Mr. Leon looked worried. You sure? Amara nodded. Yes, I'm not afraid. That afternoon, the door opened. Mr. Harold walked in boot this time. He came alone. Amara walked to the counter. Their eyes met. She said calmly. Why did you bring the police yesterday? He said nothing. Did you really think I stole something? Mr. Harold sighed. No, I was angry. The TV worked, but the USB slot was missing a piece. I thought, maybe you had something to do with it. I was wrong. Amara crossed her arms. And when I said my mom's name, you looked like you saw a ghost. He looked down. She used to work for us, he said. Long ago, my family accused her of something. I never knew if she did it or not. She didn't, Amara said firmly. She lost her job, her home, her name. Mr. Harold looked ashamed. I know now. I should have spoken up then. I saw her crying, but I stayed quiet. Just then, 2 police officers walked into the shop again. Everyone turned. One of them asked, Mr. Harold, did you want to update your report? He shook his head. No, there was no crime. The girl is innocent. I made a mistake. The officers looked at Amara, then left quietly. Amara took a deep breath. Why did you come back? She asked. Mr. Harold paused. Because I owe you and your mother. That night, Amara told her mom everything. Her mother didn't speak. For a while, then she said, you didn't just fix his TV, you fixed something deeper. Amara smiled, but deep inside, she felt this story wasn't over yet. Something about Mr. Harold's visit still felt unfinished, and she was right. Next day, Mr. Harold's house would be broken into, and he would call only one person to help. Amara woke up early the next morning. The sun had barely risen, and the streets were still quiet. She had just finished her breakfast when her phone buzzed. It was a number she didn't know. She hesitated, then answered. Hello, a familiar voice spoke. Amara. It's Mr. Harold. I need your help. My house. Someone broke in last night. Amara was surprised. Did you call the police? Yes, he said. They came, but the security system is damaged. The cameras don't work. The alarm won't stop beeping. I remembered you fix electronics. Amara was silent for a second. Part of her didn't want to go, but then she thought of her mother and how she was treated in that same house. I'll come, she said softly. 30 minutes later, Amara stood outside a big white house. It was the kind of house rich people lived in. Tall gates, a big lawn, and flowers near the door. It looked perfect on the outside, but inside, something was broken. Mr. Harold opened the door. His face looked tired. His hands were shaking. Thank you for coming, he said. Amara stepped in. The living room was quiet. Some drawers were open. A vase was broken on the floor. She walked over to the wall where the alarm system was installed. It's still beeping, she said. Stop it. But it won't listen, he replied. Amara opened her bag and pulled out her tools. Her hands moved fast and calm. She checked the wires, replaced a small chip, and within minutes the alarm went silent. Mr. Harold looked relieved. You're really talented, he said. You remind me of someone I knew long ago. Amara didn't say anything. She kept working, now moving to the small home security camera system. Most of the wires were old and messy. You said your mom worked here, Mr. Harold said slowly. Amara nodded. Yes, you fired her. I didn't fire her, he said. My father did. I was young back then, just out of college. I remember your mom. She worked hard. She sang while cleaning. Amara kept her eyes on the wires. She was always smiling, he added. But the day the watch went missing, that smile was gone. He paused. Then he got up and walked into another room. Amara watched him disappear down the hallway. A few minutes later, he returned with a small dusty box in his hands. I kept this, he said. All these years he opened it slowly. Inside was an old photograph. It was her mother young, in a maid's uniform, holding a small Amara as a baby. Amara gasped. You had this? She whispered. Yes, he said. I found it after she left. I don't know why I kept it. Maybe I knew, deep down, that we were wrong. He handed her the photo. She never stole anything, Amara said again. Mr. Harold sat down heavily. No, he whispered. But I was scared of speaking against my father. He was powerful. He believed lies over truth, and I stayed silent. Amara looked at him. For the first time, she saw not just an old man but someone filled with regret. I was a coward, he continued. But when I saw you fixing that TV, when I heard your mom's name, it all came back. Amara stood up and put the tools back in her bag. I didn't come here for sorry, she said. I came here to help. Mr. Harold looked up. Want to fix the past? He said. If I can. Amara looked him in the eyes. You can't change what happened to my mom, she said. But maybe I can make sure it never happens again. He nodded. Then let me start by telling the truth. That evening, Mr. Harold visited Amara's shop again, but this time, he brought something special. A letter. It was addressed to Amara's mother. Inside it said, I failed you. I knew. You were innocent. I was too afraid to speak. You lost your job, your home, your peace, because of our silence. I hope this letter can bring a small piece of justice. I am truly sorry. Amara gave the letter to her mom that night. Her mother cried silently as she read the words. Then she hugged Amara tightly. You did what I couldn't, she whispered. You made him face the truth. But Amara knew this wasn't the end. Something still didn't feel right. Mr. Harold had told the truth. But why had he really called her that morning? And what did he want to do next? Because in just a few days, he would walk back into the shop, not just with a letter, but with an offer that would change Amara's life forever. 2 days passed. Amara returned to work as usual, but her mind was still full of questions. Mr. Harold had sent a letter to her mom, but Amara could tell something else was on his mind. Why? Had he really called her that morning? Why now after so many years? She didn't have to wait long for answers. That afternoon, the shop bell rang. Mr. Harold walked in again. But this time, he wasn't holding a letter. He held a thick brown filand. His face looked serious. Amara stepped forward. Why are you here? She asked quietly. Mr. Harold took a deep breath. I need to tell you something. About your mother. Something I should have told her. Years ago, Amara crossed her arms. I'm listening. Mr. Leon, the shop owner, closed the door and gave them space. Mr. Harold opened the file and placed it on the counter. Inside were old papers, copies of reports, a photo of a golden watch, security records, a list of workers, and at the bottom, an old handwritten note. Amara leaned forward. Her eyes scanned the note. She gasped. It was signed by Mr. Harold's father. The watch is gone. I believe it was taken. I do not trust Leonora, the maid. Tell her to leave immediately. We don't need proof. Her kind always lies. Amara's heart dropped. She looked up at Mr. Harold. Your father blamed my mom? Just because she was black? Mr. Harold nodded slowly. He believed what he wanted. No one questioned him. Not even me. I was a coward. He pointed at the report. But here's the truth. I found this last night, in an old storage box. He pulled out one more paper. It was an insurance claim. Amara read the date. It was 2 days before her mom was fired. The claim said the watch was already missing, and the family had received money for it. They got paid for it, she said in disbelief. So it was never stolen. Mr. Harold looked ashamed. My father lied. He sold the watch, filed an insurance claim, and then blamed your mother to cover it up. Amara was speechless. All these years, she whispered, she lived with shame. She cried every night thinking people believed she stole something. He nodded. I came to give you these files. They're proof. You can use them however you want. That night, Amara sat at the kitchen table with her mother. The documents were spread out before them. Her mother read every line in silence. When she finished, she looked at Amara, eyes full of tears. I told the truth. I always told the truth. Amara held her hand. Now we have proof. And the world will know too. Her mom shook her head. I don't care about the world. I care that you know, and that you believed in me. That's all I ever needed. The next day, something unexpected happened. A lawyer arrived at the shop. He was holding a letter from Mr. Harold. Amara took it and opened it quickly. Inside was a typed message. Amara, I cannot undo the past, but I want to do something right. I am transferring a part of my father's trust fund money, earned from that same insurance scam, to you and your mother. It's not charity, it's justice. I am also offering to sponsor your education. If you still want to become an engineer, let me help. Amara read the words twice. She didn't know whether to feel shocked, grateful, or angry. Her mom said softly, it's your choice. Amara looked at the papers, and then looked up. She thought about her childhood, about how hard her mother worked, about how she never gave up. Then she whispered, I'll take the offer. Not for him, for you. And for every girl who's ever been told she can't do something. Later that week, Amara walked into a fancy building the same company Mr. Harold now worked for. She had been invited to meet the board, but as she stepped into the meeting room, she noticed something strange. Everyone was staring at her. Then Mr. Harold stood up and said, This is Amara. She will be joining us, not as an employee, but as a partner in our new tech training program. She's the future. Gasps filled the room. One man whispered, Isn't that the girl from the repair shop? Another said, She's just a kid. But Mr. Harold continued, She fixed more than my TV. She helped me face the truth. And now, she's going to help build something better. Amara looked around the room. Her hands were shaking, but her voice was clear. I'm not here because I was lucky. I'm here because I earned it, and I won't waste this chance. But as Amara stood in that boardroom, she had no idea. Someone in that very room was hiding a secret that would soon put everything she worked for at risk. And next time it wouldn't just be her mother's past, it would be Amara's future on the line. Amara's life was changing fast. Just a week ago, she was fixing broken TVs in a small repair shop. Now she was entering rooms full of powerful people who had never noticed her before, but not everyone was happy to see her rise. Behind the smiling faces, some people were talking, whispering, planning. It started with a man named Mr. Collins. He was one of the oldest members of the company board. He wore expensive suits and always spoke with a fake smile. He had seen what happened during the meeting. When Mr. Harold introduced Amara. At the time, Mr. Collins had clapped like the others, but the moment Amara left the room, he turned to the others and said coldly, "This girl doesn't belong here." A woman on the board raised an eyebrow. "She's smart. She's young. She fixed Harold's system when no one else could. She's a child from a repair shop," Mr. Collins snapped. "This company has a reputation. What if this is all just a pity project?" "She's more than that," another man said. "She uncovered the truth about the watch scandal." Mr. Collins leaned back in his chair. "I don't trust it," he said. "There's something off. We need to find it." The next day, Amara came to the company for her first training session. She was excited but nervous. Mr. Harold greeted her warmly. "You ready to learn how things work around here?" he asked. She smiled. "Always." But as she walked past Mr. Collins in the hallway, she noticed something strange. He didn't smile. He didn't even look at her. He just whispered something to another man beside him. Amara could feel it. They didn't want her here. That evening, Amara returned home and told her mother about her day. Her mother listened carefully, then said, "Be careful. Not everyone smiles from the heart." Amara nodded. She had felt it too. The cold looks, the whispered words. Still, she wouldn't stop. "I'm not going anywhere," she said. "I've worked too hard to give up now." Meanwhile, in a small meeting room inside the company building, Mr. Collins met with two other board members. He placed a folder on the table. Inside were printed pages, screenshots, and photos. "I did some digging," he said. "She has no degree, no formal training. She's just a street repair girl. She fixed things most of our own team couldn't." One man said. Collins smirked. "That's not the point. Look here." He held up a photo. It was a picture of Amara and her mother standing outside the repair shop. "You know who her mother is, right?" he said. "The woman from the old theft case. The maid." "That case was fake," the woman in the room said. Harold admitted it. Collins shrugged. "Still, people remember stories, not corrections." He leaned forward. "We leaked this. Photos stir some old rumors. The press asks questions. The company panics. Amara steps down quietly. End of story." The others looked unsure. "That's risky." "It's not risky. It's smart," Collins said. "We protect the company image." But someone else was listening. Mr. Harold had heard everything. He had walked past the room and stopped when he heard Amara's name. Now he stood frozen in the hallway, fists clenched. They weren't just attacking Amara. They were trying to destroy the truth. That night, Mr. Harold called Amara. His voice was serious. "Amara, listen to me. Some people are planning something behind your back." Amara's heart dropped. "What kind of something?" "They're trying to use your mother's past, twist the truth, make it look like you don't belong here." Amara didn't speak for a moment. Then she said, "Let them try." Mr. Harold sounded surprised. "You're not afraid?" "I've faced worse," she replied. "Let them dig. All they'll find is how strong we really are." But the next morning, something happened. A photo appeared online. It was the one of Amara and her mother outside the shop. The caption said, "Company welcomes girl with a shocking past. Is this who we trust?" The photo spread fast, and within hours Amara was called into a meeting. She walked in calmly, but inside, her chest was tight. She didn't know what they were going to say, but she had already made a decision. She would not stay quiet. Not this time. Amara stood outside the glass doors of the boardroom. Inside, she could see all the powerful faces staring. Some looked curious, some looked angry, some looked nervous. She took a deep breath. Then, she walked in. Mr. Harold was already standing by the long table. His face looked serious, but calm. "Amara," he said gently, "please take a seat." Amara didn't sit. She stayed standing, eyes steady, voice calm. "I know why I'm here," she said. "You saw the photo. You read the headline." One man cleared his throat. "Let's stay professional, Miss Amara. There are concerns about your background and your mother's history. My mother's past is not a secret." Amara interrupted. It was full of hard work, honesty, and pain caused by this very company. Gasps filled the room. She was fired for something she never did, blamed without proof, humiliated, and now, years later, I'm here, and the same people are still whispering lies. A woman spoke up softly. "No one's calling you a thief, Amara. It's just about protecting the company's image." Amara nodded slowly. "That's what they said back then too. Protect the image, not the truth." She pulled out the folder Mr. Harold had given her days ago, the same documents, the same letter from the past. She laid them on the table. This is the truth. These are your own records. The watch wasn't stolen. The insurance was paid. My mother was innocent. The room went silent. Then Mr. Collins, the same man who had been scheming behind her back, spoke. But your experience is limited. You never went to college. You don't have a degree. People might question if you really belong here. Amara looked straight at him. I fixed what your trained team couldn't. I solved the system failure in minutes. I uncovered a lie that lasted for years. So ask yourself, do I belong here? He went quiet. Everyone in the room was watching. Then Amara stepped forward. I'm not ashamed of where I come from. I'm proud. My mother cleaned floors so I could stand here today. She gave everything, while others took everything from her. Mr. Harold stood beside her now. I support Amara fully, he said firmly. She's not here because of pity. She's here because she's earned it. Then he turned to Mr. Collins. And if anyone in this room is more worried about gossip than truth, maybe they're the ones who don't belong. A heavy silence filled the air. Then, one by one, heads started nodding. A woman said, I believe her. Another man added, she speaks with more honesty than most people in this room. Mr. Harold turned to Amara. Do you still want to be a part of this company? Amara thought for a moment. Then she said, I don't just want to be part of it. I want to change it. Later that day, Amara sat alone outside the building. The sun was setting. She felt tired, but also proud. Her mom called. How did it go? Amara smiled. I told them everything, and they listened. Her mom was quiet for a moment. Then she said, you made me proud, just like your father would have been. Amara's smile faded. Her father? She had never known him. She never even asked. But now something stirred in her heart. Who was he? And why had her mother never spoken about him? Amara had won the room, but she was about to discover the real story hadn't even begun, because her father's past held a truth that would shake everything again. Amara couldn't sleep. Her mother's words kept echoing in her head. Just like your father would have been proud. It was the first time her mother had mentioned him. Ever. The next morning, Amara waited until they were sitting at the kitchen table. She placed 2 cups of tea between them and said softly, Mom, I want to know about Dad. Her mother froze. She didn't speak for several seconds. Then she looked down and whispered, Are you sure you're ready? Amara nodded. I deserve to know. Her mother took a deep breath and began. His name was Malcolm Rivers. He wasn't just any man. He worked at the same house where I was a maid. Amara sat up straighter. At Mr. Harold's house. Her mother nodded. He was their driver. Smart, quiet. He always treated me with respect. We kept our friendship secret because we knew how people would react. Amara listened closely. Her heart was beating faster. One night, her mother continued, Malcolm heard something. He overheard the family talking about selling the gold watch and blaming someone. He warned me to be careful. Amara's eyes widened, so he knew. Her mother nodded. Double quotes. Yes. But before he could speak up, they fired him too. No reason, just gone. I never saw him again. Amara whispered, and after that, I found out I was pregnant. I wrote him letters, but they were returned. I thought maybe he didn't want us anymore, or maybe something happened. She looked up at Amara, her eyes wet. I tried to protect you from that pain. I never wanted you to feel unwanted. Amara was quiet, but her mind was racing. What happened to Malcolm? Where did he go? She had to find out. That night, Amara opened her laptop and started searching. She typed, Malcolm Rivers driver, New York 1990s Malcolm Rivers former employee Harold family. Most results led nowhere. Until one link stood out. An old local news article. Local veteran honored for secret act of justice years ago. Amara clicked it, her eyes scanned. The page. There was a photo. A man standing in uniform. Quiet eyes. A firm smile. Her heart skipped. It was him. The article said he was once a driver, later served in the military, then moved upstate and started a community center for struggling kids. He had passed away 3 years ago. Amara's hands trembled. She whispered, he tried to help. He was a good man. The next day, Amara visited the address listed in the article. It was a small, quiet community building with a faded sign, Rivers Youth Center, inside. She met a kind woman who remembered Malcolm well. He was strict but fair, the woman said. He helped so many kids off the streets. He didn't talk much about the past, but he always kept this photo in his office. She handed Amara a framed picture. It was a young woman smiling, holding a tiny baby. It was her mother. And Amara, as a baby, tears filled Amara's eyes. He didn't forget us, she whispered. He never stopped loving us. She returned home that evening and handed the photo to her mom. Her mother covered her mouth. Shocked, I never knew he kept this. Amara hugged her tightly. You weren't alone, Mom. He was out there doing good, just like you. But as the two sat quietly together, a loud knock came at the door. Amara opened it expecting maybe a friend or a neighbor. Instead, it was a police officer. He looked serious. Miss Amara. She nodded, heart pounding. The officer held up a document. I need you to come with me. There's something unusual in your father's file. You've been listed in a sealed case. It just got reopened. Amara blinked. A case. Yes, he said. Something he tried to report before he died. Something to do with the Herald family. Amara stepped back, stunned. What? Did he leave behind? Amara sat in the back seat of the police car. Her hands were shaking. She didn't know if she was scared or angry. The officer driving said nothing, just kept his eyes on the road. Finally he spoke. Your father? He left something in a sealed report. It was never opened. Not until now. Why now? Amara asked softly. Because you made noise, the officer replied. You stood up. You went public. And when your name hit the news, the file triggered an alert. Amara couldn't believe it. Even after death, her father was still protecting her. They arrived at a small federal building. Inside, an officer handed her a folder. It was old. The paper yellowed at the corners. Stamped on the front, private statement, Malcolm Rivers, confidential witness. She opened it slowly. Inside was the truth. It was a signed letter written by Malcolm himself, many years ago. If anything happens to me, or to the woman I love, or our child, this is the truth. He explained how he had overheard the Herald family planting the story about the stolen watch. They didn't want to lose face over a bad business deal, so they blamed someone easy. The maid? That maid was Amara's mother? Malcolm had tried to report it, but nobody listened. The family had power, and he was just a driver. He submitted this file quietly, waiting for a day someone brave enough would come forward. Amara's eyes filled with tears. To my daughter, the last page read, if you're reading this, it means you've become strong. Speak the truth, even if your voice shakes. Amara stood up. The officers in the room looked at her. What will you do now? One of them asked. She took a breath. I'll finish what he started. The next day, Amara called a press conference. She stood outside the company building with her mother beside her. Cameras flashed. Reporters leaned in. She held up the letter and spoke clearly. This company fired my mother based on a lie. They silenced my father when he tried to tell the truth. But I will not be silent. She shared the full story. The hidden file, the letter. She told the world everything. Inside the company building, Mr. Harold watched the live feed on TV. He slowly nodded. She's braver than all of us, he whispered. Moments later, he picked up the phone and called for a board meeting. A week later, news broke. Herald Company issues public apology. New anti-discrimination leadership named. At the top of the announcement was one name, Amara Rivers, Director of Ethics and Technology. She didn't just get a title, she got justice. For her mother, for her father, for herself. 1 month later, Amara visited her father's grave. She placed flowers at the stone. I told them the truth, Dad, she said softly. They finally heard it. She smiled through tears, then turned and walked away, her mother by her side. 2 women, 1 legacy, unbreakable.